Hey folks, it's Stephan here. Welcome to another Pathfinder adventure card game Wrath of the Righteous episode. This week the scenario is the Fifth Crusade. 4 crusades could not purify the world wound of its evils. Where chapels stood, demons gather. Now the Fifth Crusade is on the march. With armies of pitborns and demonlings between you and Dresden, your host must travel across lands corrupted by your adversaries. Let nothing stand in your way. So we're going to be displaying the troop Knights of Canabras during this scenario, and that's a new feature that we picked up in this adventure deck. I haven't updated the card, but we decided to check off the Righteous Medal of Valor for strength, and that would give us a 1d6 to a check to defeat a barrier that has the army trait. The villain is Nulkineth, henchmen Ilzek and Jadis, and then Undead Companies. During this scenario, when Nulkineth is defeated, banish it and shuffle the villain Maugla into a random location. If that location is closed, open it. You win the scenario only when you defeat and corner Maugla. Locations: the Abyssal River. When you would be dealt combat damage, you are dealt poison damage instead. The Sacristy. On your check to acquire a boon, you may roll your divine die instead of the normal die. Wounded Lands. When you encounter a Bane, you may not play allies on your checks. The Forsaken Cloister. When you move or are moved here, bury a card. Any character at another location may discard a card to evade an encounter and then move here. And the Dark Forest. When you explore, examine the top 2 cards, shuffle one into the deck, and encounter the other. Enora is going to go to the Abyssal River. Imrijka will go to the Wounded Lands, and Seelah will go to the Forsaken Cloister. Enora will start us off and finds the spell Lightning Touch. Intelligence Arcane 4. That is going to be a d12 plus 2 for her. And then we've got the 2 mythic charges, so plus another 2. So d12 plus 4 to acquire that, which means we cannot fail, even if we'd rolled that one. Okay, we pick up Lightning Touch. Gives us too many cards in our hand. Oh, and this did not pick up the new image, I'm just noticing. I don't know why, but the new image isn't loaded, so let me see if I can do that without screwing things up too badly. Okay, that's corrected. Now we can see that they have some new powers that they picked up last time. So she could spend a blessing, or she could use Chuffy Lick Wound to explore again. She is the only character at this location, so discard this card to explore your location. If you're the only character at your location, add 1d6 and the scenario's adventure deck number to your combat checks during this exploration. So if we encounter a monster, that would be good. And we do, actually. It's Cambion, not necessarily the monster that we want to play against. Cambion is immune to electricity and poison traits. Before you act, succeed at an arcane or divine 9 check, or you may not play spells that have the attack trait. Okay, well, he's a combat 12. But to do an arcane 9, we'd be rolling a d12 plus 2 plus another 2. So d12 plus 4 to get a 9. Imrijka is going to spend a blessing for us, so now we will be rolling 2d12 plus 4 to get a 9. And there we get an 11 and a 1, so we do make that, so we can continue to use spells during this. And we will use Frigid Blast, most likely. He is immune to electricity and poison, but not cold. So this would be our arcane skill plus 2d4. So a d12 plus 2d4 plus 4. And we also have the Demon Hunter's Handbook. Recharge this card to add 1d4 plus the Bane's adventure deck number to your check against a Bane with the Cultist or Demon trait. And he has the Demon trait, just part of the base set, so he doesn't have an adventure deck number, so that'll just be another d4. So now looking at a d12 plus 3d4 plus 4. And we get plenty on that, so Cambion is defeated. And we get a chance to recharge both the Demon Hunter's Handbook and the Frigid Blast. After playing this card, you may succeed in an intelligence or knowledge check with a difficulty of 5 plus twice the Bane's adventure deck number. And he, again, was just a base, so it's just a 5. Our knowledge check is a d12 plus 4 as a base, and then plus 2 more, so we can't fail that. So this will get recharged, and that's to reveal it instead of recharging it, so we'll keep that in our hand. And now over to Frigid Blast, we need an arcane 6, which would be a d12 plus 4. And we get a 6, so we do recharge that. And that was a pretty good turn for her, so she will draw back up to her hand size, and we will pass play to Imrijka. And she encounters a Dire Rat. Check to defeat combat 8. Or Dexterity Stealth 6. Probably do the combat, I would think. If undefeated, instead of normal damage, the Dire Rat deals 1 combat damage to you, succeed a Constitution Fortitude 6 check, or the top card of your, or discard the top card of your deck. We'll use our Heavy Crossbow. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Dexterity or Range skill plus 1d10. So we will be rolling 2d10 plus 4 when we count the mythic charges. And that's 9 plus 4 is 13, which is enough to defeat the Dire Rat. And this is Imrijka, and she can use her new power now. If she rolls a 3, 4, 5, or 6, she will explore again. We kept coming up with 3s before, so that's why I added that one. So she does get to explore again, and oh my, she finds the villain. Check to defeat, combat 18. Nulkineth is immune to the poison trait. If the check to defeat has the melee trait, the difficulty is increased by 3, so he'd be at 21. Only 1 blessing may be played on any check against Nulkineth. Damage dealt by Nulkineth is increased by your divine bonus. Well, let's see what we've got in hand. Unfortunately, this was not the first exploration, so these blessings of Baphomet do no good. And the blessing of Abraxas is not really helpful. I mean, it's going to give us 1 die, but it's not great. We can use our Corrosive Dagger plus 1, though, along with our Heavy Crossbow, so we'll want to do that. But first, we have to have Seelah and Enora attempt to do closing checks. So for Enora, that would be discard a card that has the divine trait. And she has 2 cards with the divine trait, so she would be able to do that. And actually, she's got brilliance. She's going to get rid of brilliance. We'll get it back the next time we cast a spell anyway. So this is temporarily closed. And Seelah, each character at this location must summon and defeat this adventure's Servitor Demon, which is a bit more difficult. He's a blood demon, combat 17. He's immune to electricity and poison traits. Before you act, succeed in an arcane or divine 9, or you may not play spells that have the attack trait. Well, we don't care about that because we're not playing spells. During this encounter, if you would reveal, recharge, or discard a weapon that has the melee trait in a check against the blood demon, bury it instead. Reveal, recharge, or discard a weapon that has the melee trait. Well, of course, we're going to do that, aren't we? Bury it instead. So we're going to lose our battle Aspergillum, but it is going to give us potential benefit here because we will be against a Bane with the Outsider trait, and we'd have to recharge one of our divine cards for that. Alright, so he is at 17, and we are going to reveal the Battle Aspergillum, which is then going to get buried, which would give us 2d8 plus 5 with our mythic charges. 2d8 plus 5. You may additionally discard this card to get another d4. I think I'd rather discard it to get the d4 then, wouldn't I? But he's going to make me banish it no matter what, so it might as well. So we'll do that, and then we're going to get the other d8 by recharging Abraxas. So now it's 3d8 and a d4 plus 5. 3d8 and a d4 plus 5 gives us 20. Oh, wait, the d4 is changing its mind. I don't know what the d4 is doing there. It's just wobbling back and forth. Okay, well, we're going to re-roll that one. 3d8 and a d4 plus 5. So 20 anyway. And now we have to have buried this. He's defeated, so this location is temporarily closed. And now Imrijka will fight Nulkineth. And we can only use 1 blessing. Let's see, she's going to use the Heavy Crossbow. So it's going to be 2d10 plus 4. She's also going to use the Corrosive Dagger to give us another d4 plus 1, so that would be plus 5. And then Seelah is going to give a blessing, so now it is 3d10 plus a d4 plus 5. And we get 22, which is pretty close to what we needed, but we made it. So we needed a 21, we get a 22. So he's defeated, and that is going to close this location automatically. On closing, bury a boon. A bummer, but we're going to bury Limerian Discourses because I don't think we're probably going to use it anyway. He only has 2 places to go, so we're going to take 1 blessing from the box and add him to that and shuffle those together. Put them in here and then shuffle those together. Alright, so we know that the villain is in one of these 2 places, and then we know that this one is closed. We did miss out on a Demon Bane light crossbow though, that's a bummer. But we also missed out on Arboreal Blight, so that is not a bummer. She's going to reset and pass play to Seelah, who doesn't have any weapons or anything, so she's probably not going to explore. Although there is only 1 monster here. No, it would not be wise, so she's just going to reset. No sense in getting her killed. Hopefully she gets a weapon. She does. Okay. Passing play back to Enora now. Well, Enora will continue to explore the Abyssal River because we know now that the villain is either at the Sacristy or the Dark Forest. And she finds a Blessing of Sarenrae. Constitution 4 or Divine 5. She could potentially make the D4. And we do. Well, we might as well use it immediately to explore again. It's the Gargoyle. Combat 14. If you evade the Gargoyle, put it on top of its location deck. If the check to defeat does not have the magic trait, the difficulty is increased by 4. Well, he's not immune to anything, so we can use Lightning Touch. For your combat check, discard this card to use your arcane skill plus 2d4. So that would be a d12 and 2d4 plus 4. And we're going to use Abraxas to give us 2 dice to any arcane check. After you play this card, if it matches the top card of the Blessings discard pile, recharge this card instead of discarding it. It actually does. Let's back that up and recharge that. I don't think I've ever had that happen, or at least not noticed it. So now, 3d12 and 2d4 plus 4. Ones and twos, and my goodness, that's pretty bad. Plus 4 is 16, which is just enough here to defeat the Gargoyle. And we, of course, would have the magic trait because it is a spell. So he is defeated. And she played a spell, so she would recharge a spell. Brilliance is the only one in there to recharge. And we can make an Arcane 6 to recharge this. Would be d12 plus 4. And we get an 11, so we recharge that. And she will reset and hopefully draw a spell. And she does get a spell. She gets Force Missile. Oh, actually, she's got one more card to add here. Alright, that's the end of her turn. She's going to pass play to Imrijka, who now needs to decide where to go. I think she'll move over to the Abyssal River, and she will explore. And finds a Spiked Pit Trap. Wisdom, Perception 7, or Dexterity, Acrobatics 8. The difficulty to defeat is increased by the Snare's adventure deck number, so that would be now a 9 or 10. If defeated, you may explore again. If undefeated, each character in this location is dealt 1d4 plus 1 combat damage, then end your turn. Well, that's not very good. This was the first exploration of her turn, though, so she could use Baphomet. It's basically the same thing, but the Wisdom Perception is slightly less at 9 compared to 10. So yeah, we'll use Blessing of Baphomet to roll 3d8 to get a 9. Another 1 and another 1. But we do get a 9, actually. So we defeat the Spiked Pit Trap. Continuing with our tradition of getting too many 1s. And that said you could explore again. Okay, so we will explore again. Halfway through the... Oh my, what's this? Oh, Henchman, Undead Company. Check to defeat Combat, Divine, or Melee, Stealth, Fortitude. The Undead Company is immune to the mental and poison traits. Each character attempts a different check to defeat. If any character fails, the barrier is undefeated. If undefeated, each character buries a boon, then search this henchman's location deck and banish all the boons. Shuffle this henchman into a random open location deck and end your turn. If defeated, you may immediately close the location. It doesn't say that you have to attempt the close. So we're going to have to look that up. Undead Army. Well, there's nothing in the FAQ about this, so I am reading it that it just gets close. If defeated, you may immediately close the location this henchman came from. Of course, we have to beat him 3 times first, so let's focus on that, I guess. That we have to use a different check to defeat. So we have the choice of Combat, Divine 16, or Melee, Stealth, Fortitude 12. I don't think that the second one is very good at all. So I guess it'll be Combat, Divine, although I don't really like having to use Divine at all. Now, we also have our friends, the Knights of Canabras. While displayed, any character may add 1d6 to a check to defeat a barrier that has the army trait that uses one of the following checked skills. Strength is the one we checked off. So that would count for the 2 combats, as long as they were strength checks. But Enora can't do a divine check, so she's going to have to do a combat that isn't strength. Okay, well, let's start off with Imrijka, because she's the one that triggered this whole thing. She's going to use the combat check. She's not going to get to use that strength either, is she? I don't think she will, but she does have a Blessing of Shax. So, for your combat check, reveal this card to use your Dexterity range skill plus 1d6. So we're looking at a d10 and a d6 plus 4. If proficient with weapons, you may additionally recharge another weapon that has the range trait to add another 1d8. So now it's a d10, a d8, and a d6 plus 4. And then she's going to use the Blessing of Shax to get 2 more dice to a combat, strength, or dexterity check. So now she'll be rolling 3d10, a d8, and a d6 plus 4. Plus 4 is 29, so Imrijka makes the check. And we might as well go in order here. So we'll go over to Seelah. Now she is going to be able to use the Knights of Canabras. No, she will not, because actually she's going to have to do the Divine check, isn't she? Alright, so it's a Divine 16. She has a Divine of D8 plus 1. We do have the Blessing of Ascension. Now we'll be rolling 2d8 plus 1. So Anora will spend a Blessing of Baphomet to give her now 3d8 plus 1. And she will spend a Mythic charge in order to turn one of those into a d20. So now it's a d20 and 2d8 plus 1. And that really didn't work out very well, did it? So we've got 7 plus 4. No, sorry, 11 plus 4, which is 15, and then the plus 1, which is 16. So she does make it, just barely. And her mythic ability says, choose a character at location to get a charge. Choose another character. Okay, there's no one here with her, so that doesn't count. But she defeats it, and now over to Enora, who her only choice is Force Missile. So she will use Force Missile. That's going to be a d12 plus 2d4 plus 4. And she's going to use a Blessing of Abraxas to add 2 dice to an Arcane check. Okay, so 3d12, 2d4, plus 4, and that's 30. So she defeats the Undead Company. If defeated, you may immediately close the location this henchman came from. When permanently closed, on closing you are dealt 1 poison damage. Alright, well that's annoying. She doesn't have any spells to recharge, I don't think. Nope. And she would get to recharge this, so that's a d12 plus 4 to recharge that. And now she's going to take 1 poison damage. And she's going to recharge the scale of resistance, reduce all damage to you by 1. And this was actually Imrijka's turn, so that's going to be the end of her turn. She'll reset her hand up to 5 cards. And pass play to Seelah, who is still here at the Forsaken Cloister. And she draws the Blessing of Iomide. Check to acquire Charisma 4 or Divine 5. Well, her Charisma is a d10 plus 1. Plus, we've got 1 for our Mythic charge. D10 plus 2 to get a 4. And we get a 5 total, so she does acquire the Blessing of Iomide. She's going to discard that and explore again. Blessing of Ascension, she does have a Mythic charge, so she acquires this automatically. If you encounter this card and have a Mythic charge, you automatically acquire it. She will spend that to explore again. And she finds a Spiked Pit Trap. Wisdom, Perception 7, or Dexterity, Acrobatics 8. Well, she has a d8 for Wisdom. And actually this gets more difficult, right? So this is going to go to a 9. It's going to go to a 9. And she's going to take at least 2 damage from it. 2 combat damage. I think we're just going to roll the d8, which we know we can't make. In fact, we get a 1. So if undefeated, each character at your location is dealt 1d4 plus 1 combat damage, and then end your turn. And we rolled a 3, so it's 4 combat damage. Yeah, we're just going to bury Scale Mail to get rid of that damage, and Spiked Pit Trap can go away. And that's the end of her turn, so she's going to reset her hand and pass play to Enora, who really doesn't have any cards in hand. That location's closed, so now she needs to go somewhere else. Well, she'll move over with Seelah. Really, I don't know. I mean, obviously we haven't encountered the henchman here, and there's one other monster, so I don't think she's going to do anything but reset. It's just not safe, and she really needs a spell. She'll pass play to Seelah, Imrijka, and Imrijka's going to move over to the Sacristy, or will she? Maybe she should move to the Dark Forest. Because this one you examine 2 cards and then shuffle 1 into the deck. Yes, that gives you better options. So she'll go to the Dark Forest. When you explore, examine the top 2 cards, shuffle 1 into the deck, and encounter the other. So there's 1 and 2. So the 1 is the Undead Company, which we'd all have to fight. But that would potentially close this location, and if the villain is not in it, then it would definitely close this location. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to shuffle that card back in and fight the Undead Company. Should be pretty similar to the way that it was before, I would think. He is a combat Divine 16. And she is going to use the Glaive plus 1. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength or melee skill plus 1d10 plus 1. So that would be 2d10 plus 2. Plus we'll get to use the Righteous Medal of Valor here to get the d6. Right, so 2d10 and a d6 plus 2 plus the mythic charges, so 2 more. Not a lot of dice. I guess we're going to have to go with it. 2d10 plus the d6 plus 4. And we get 22. Imrijka defeats her Undead Company. And that's one of the combat checks. So, poor Seelah, she's going to have to go with the Divine again, because Enora can't do the Divine. She can use her ability, though, and she should do that. To do the Divine check, we'd be rolling a d8, and then we have the Blessing of Abadar. Oh, and this is a barrier. So Blessing of Abadar is going to help us here, because it's 2 dice, so now it's 3d8. And then you may discard the top card of your deck to add 1d6 plus 1 to any check by a character at your location. And we'll do that. And, oh, it's Radiant, so that hurts. Okay, we might be able to bring that back. So now looking at 3d8 plus a d6 plus 1. 3d8 and a d6 plus 1. So that's 17 total, which is just 1 more than we needed, so we defeat that. We did have to ditch Radiance, but hopefully we can get that back. And now it goes over to Enora. Now we have to use Fiery Glare. For a combat check, discard this card to use your Arcane or Divine skill plus 2d4. So 3d12 and 2d4 plus 4. And that is 23, so we defeat them. And if defeated, you may immediately close the location this henchman came from. At the end of your turn, recharge your hand. I guess this would be the end of her turn, so she's going to recharge her hand and get a whole new hand. We do get a weapon, and we do get Cure. Okay. Oh. Sorry, Imrijka was the one there, not Seelah. Yes, that was Imrijka's turn, not Seelah's turn. So Imrijka's the one that needs to reset her hand. She has 5 cards. Okay, and Enora still has to recharge this, so that would be an Arcane 10, so that's a d12 plus 4 to see if she can recharge. She gets a 7, so she doesn't. And that's the end of Imrijka's turn. She passes play to Seelah, who is here at the Forsaken Cloister. Now, this location does not have the villain. The villain has to be at the Sacristy. So we will explore, and we find a Dawnflower's Light. Check to acquire Wisdom Divine 9. Reveal this card and discard a card that has the Divine trait to add 1d8 and the Magic trait to your check against a Bane that has the Demon, Devil, Fiend, or Undead trait. If the discarded card has the Serenray trait, shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. Wow, that's pretty good. Pretty solid, I'd say. It's going to be difficult to get, though. Wisdom Divine 9. We have a d8 plus 1, so we could just barely make it. But there is one blessing on the table. That only gives us 1 die because this is not a corrupted blessing. Well, so she's going to spend that blessing to now give her 2d8 plus 1 to potentially get this Dawnflower's Light. And we do get it. Okay, we get a 12, so we pick up Dawnflower's Light, and that seems like a really nice addition. I don't know how many items Seelah normally has. There's only 1 item, Scale of Sacred Weaponry, but this might be worth a replacement. She has that, but, well, she could use the Interrogator to explore again. I guess we'll do that. And she finds a Cave Lizard, Combat 11. If defeated during your exploration, you may explore your location. If undefeated, shuffle the Cave Lizard into a random open location. So here's a Combat 11. And we have a Cold Iron Mace. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Strength and Melee skill plus 1d8 plus 1. You may additionally recharge this card to add another d4. If the Bane has the Demon or Fiend trait, add another d4. I don't think it does. No. But we do have the Scale of Sacred Weaponry. Recharge this card to add 1 to your combat check, or 2 if you played a weapon on this check, so we will do that. So now we are looking at 2d8 plus 6. 2d8 plus 6 to get an 11. Oh, plus 8, actually, because of the 2 for that. So we got it easily. Cave Lizard goes away, and we will set our hand up to 5 cards. And play goes to Enora, who probably shouldn't have explored, because I didn't notice she really doesn't have an offensive spell, but she got Striking Armor, Constitution Fortitude 4. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2. Reveal this card to add 2 to your Stealth or Perception check. We'll roll the d4. We're not going to spend anything on it. I don't think there's anything to spend anyway. We got it. We picked that up. Well, she could explore with this guy, but I don't think we will. I think we'll just reset. Play goes to Imrijka, who is now going to move over with us here and work on clearing this out. And she encounters the henchmen, Ilzek and Jadis. Check to defeat Combat 15, then Combat 16. Ilzek and Jadis are immune to mental and poison traits. Before you act, a random character at your location is dealt 1d4 combat damage. Roll a d6 to see who it is. And it's a 3, so it would be 1, 2, 3, so it's Imrijka. That's going to be, it's not random other location, other character. Nope, so 1d4. And she takes 1 point of damage, which will take on the Silver Raven. If undefeated, a random character at your location is dealt 2 combat damage, then end your turn. If defeated, you may immediately attempt to close this location that henchman came from. Alright, well, since she is here with friends, she does not have to do both checks. So probably Seelah will take one of the checks. And these are Undead Ghoul Cleric and Undead Ghoul Cleric. Okay, they're both the same. So it depends on who wants the bigger check, basically. I guess she'll use her hand crossbow. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity or range skill plus 1d6. If proficient with weapons, you may additionally recharge another card that has the weapon that has the range trait for another d10. We'll recharge this. So that would be a d10 and a d8 and a d6 plus 4. And we get a 17 plus 4, 21. So Ilzek is defeated. And now we have to see if Seelah should be the one taking the next check. I think it should be fine if she does. She's going to use the Cold Iron Mace for your combat check. Reveal this to use your strength and melee skill plus 1d8 plus 1. So that would be 2d8 plus 4, 5, 6. 2d8 plus 6. And then Anora will give a blessing. So now it's 3d8 plus 6 to get a 16. So from the 1, 11 plus 6 is 17, so we do make that, and they are defeated, so we immediately attempt to close the location this henchman came from, which requires each character at this location must summon and defeat this adventurous servitor demon. Oh man, that's terrible. That's terrible. This guy's really bad. We're just going to leave that location as it is at the moment, and that will be the end of Imrijka's turn. She is going to draw back up, and she picks up Cure, which is good. Pass play to Seelah. Seelah is going to move, for sure, over here to the sacristy. Keep in mind, we still have another villain we have to fight, even once we get this done, so we gotta get moving along here. We go up to Sai. Strength melee 9. She's got a d8 plus 3 for that. We're not going to add anything to it. And we get a 10, actually, so we do pick up the Sai. Could explore the Demon Hunter. Is going to lose a card anyway. And there are no monsters here, so actually she might as well explore, I guess. Well, there's the villain. We know that. Glibness. Check to acquire Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, Divine 6. Well, d8 plus 1 for her. Gets a 3, so we do not acquire Glibness. She does not have a way to explore again, so she will pass play to Enora, who will also move over here and explore. And she finds a Manual of War. Check to acquire melee ranged 8. She cannot make that. She's got a d6. Actually, she is going to use the Sacred Prism. Bury this card and shuffle 1d4 cards from your discard pile of a character at your location into their deck. She's going to choose herself a d4. She only gets 1, so that's kind of crummy. Better than nothing. And now she'll reset. She picks up a spell and a Blessing of Sarenrae. And she will pass play to Imrijka, who is still here at the Forsaken Cloister. She'll explore again. She finds a riding horse, Wisdom Survival 7. She has a d8. Gets a 7. So we acquire the riding horse. Well, she can use it to explore again, which is what she will do. When you move or are moved. Okay, nobody was... No, people did move here, didn't they? Shoot. Seelah started there, so Imrijka and Enora moved there. So let's say Enora would have buried this. And Imrijka... Ugh. No, she would have buried this. Anyway, she encounters Create Pit. Intelligence Arcane 6. She has a d4. She will not be able to acquire that. I'm going to do Cure. Reveal this card and choose a character at your location. Shuffle 1d4 plus 1 random cards from their discard pile into their deck. Then discard this card and we can potentially recharge it. So we roll a d4 plus 1. And we get 4 cards back. And then we have to make a Divine 8. Which is a d8 plus 1. And we get an 8. So we do recharge it. And now we reset to 5. Pass play to Seelah. Here at the sacristy. She explores and finds an Imperial Army Great Helm. Constitution, Fortitude, Charisma 8. Well, her Charisma would be the best check there, so it's a D10 plus 1, plus another one because Charisma is our mythic. Recharge this card and add 2 to your Charisma check, or your check to defeat a Bane that has the Army trait, or to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2. Proficient with heavy armors, you may add the scenario's adventure deck number instead. Seems pretty good, but I don't know that we want to put a blessing into it necessarily. Let's see. No, we're not going to put a blessing into it. So it's going to be a D10 plus 2. And we get only 6. So we do not acquire the Imperial Army Great Helm. He does not have a way to explore again. Passing play halfway through the Blessings deck now. Passing play to Enora, who does have that one lightning touch spell, but that's not very impressive, because we know the villain's here. Oh yes, and I forgot about the henchman being here. Undead Company is immune to mental and poison traits. This is electricity, so it's not actually like immune to that. Okay. So this would potentially allow us to clear this. I'm closing, add one of your buried cards to your hand, but you have to succeed at a Divine 7 check or discard a card that has the Divine. And I've only got one card that has the Divine trait. Yeah, they're pretty tough. Let's see what we can do here. This is Anora encountering this. So she would use Lightning Touch, which would be a D12 and 2D4 plus 4. Oh, and it is a barrier. So yes, Abadar is going to help. We're going to, Imrijka's going to give her Abadar. So now that will be 3D12 and 2D4 plus 4. And that's going to be a total of 23, so she defeats them. Used a spell, so I think she's only got one spell in here, but let's just check. So she gets Fiery Glare back, and she can recharge this with a D12 plus 4. And she does. Now over to Imrijka to encounter these guys. She might as well use this, hand crossbow, so she's going to recharge this, so that'll be a D10 and a D8 and a D6 plus 4, and she will use a Blessing of Daskari to get another die on that check. So now 2d10 and a d8 and a d6 plus 4. And she gets a 25, so she makes that check. And now Seelah, who's got two choices here. With a Sai, for your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength and melee skill plus 2d4. You may additionally discard this card to add another d4. If any d4 rolled in this check is a 4, count as a 5. And might as well use this, right? Unless this is better against undead, which it is not. Okay, and we're going to be able to use the army trait, so we're going to get a d6 out of that. So it'll be a d8 and a d6 plus 2d4. We're going to discard this, so it'll be 3d4 plus strength, which is that's plus 4 plus 5. D8, d6, and 3d4 plus 5. Which is a 19. So she defeats the Undead Company. If defeated, you may immediately close the location this henchman came from. And we would do that, except we know that the villain's in here. Instead, we're going to find the villain. All the other cards come out, though. Okay, and we don't have to encounter him, but he is here now. Combat 18. He's immune to the poison trait. If the check to defeat has the melee trait, it is increased by 3. Only one blessing may be played on the check. It might be best for Enora to encounter him as long as we've got the right spell in hand. Now, let's see. This was Enora's turn, so she's going to be the one resetting. And we will pass play to Imrijka, who will have an opportunity to close that location. Fireblade, Wisdom Divine 6. She could potentially get that. That would be a d8 plus 1 for her. Doesn't get it. Okay, and now she has the ability to potentially close this location. And to do so, each character at this location must summon and defeat this adventurous servitor demon. There's the Blood Demon, combat 17. Immune to electricity and poison. Before you act, succeed in an arcane or divine 9, or you may not play spells. We don't care about that, but we do care about this. During this encounter, if you would reveal, recharge, or discard a weapon that has the melee trait in a check against the Blood Demon, bury it instead. Which take out our weapons, especially if we use the hand crossbow ability. So I guess we'd just stick with the composite bow. Composite bow would be, for your combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity or range skill plus your strength skill. So that would be 2d10 plus 4. And then we could use the Blessing of Sarenrae, which would give them another die. So it would be 3d10 plus 4 to get a 17. And this is going to get buried. So 3d10 plus 4 to get a 17. There's our friend the 1. 3d10, so that's 13 plus 4 is 17. So then he's defeated, and then this location would close. There's no permanent effect when closing, so that's closed. And that would be the end of Imrijka's turn. She will reset her hand. Pass play to Seelah. Now, I don't think Seelah is really the right person to encounter this guy, because he's an 18, and the only thing she has is this cold iron mace. Well, he is a demon, so she could get 2d4 in addition to that base, except that he goes up to a 21. Alright, so she'll stay here, but she'll recharge a card. Gets a long sword. That doesn't really help, does it? Passing play to Enora. Alright, it's Enora's turn. She is going to encounter Nulkineth. Check to defeat combat 18. Immune to poison. If the check to defeat has the melee trait, it is increased by 3. It will not. Only one blessing may be played, but the blessing that we're going to play is the Blessing of Baphomet. So we are going to use Life Drain. For your combat check, discard this card to use your Arcane or Divine skill plus 2d4. Shuffle one random card from your discard pile into your deck. Let's do that right now. Random card gets shuffled in. Blessing of Baphomet from Imrijka. So that would be 3d12 plus 2d4 plus 4. And we have the Demon Hunter's Handbook. Recharge this card to add 1d4 plus the Bane's adventure deck number to your check against the Bane that has the Cultist or Demon trait. And of course he is a 2. So that is now 3d12 and 3d4 plus 6. 3d12 and 3d4 plus 6, which is way over what we need. So 33 would be the total there, and that defeats Nulkineth. He doesn't have anywhere to go because everything's closed. When Nulkineth is defeated, banish it and shuffle the villain Maugla into a random location. If that location is closed, open it. You win the scenario only when you defeat and corner Maugla. Good job taking him out. Now let's work on recharging stuff here. I'm going to use Quadnus Orlon. Recharge this card to succeed at your check to acquire or recharge a card that has the Arcane trait. I'm going to succeed at recharging Life Drain. He goes under, then Life Drain goes under. Then we have a chance to recharge this. A Knowledge with a difficulty of 5 plus twice the Bane's adventure deck number. So that would actually be a 9, so that's going to be pretty tricky. But Knowledge is a d12 plus 4 plus 6 for us. d12 plus 6 to get a 9. And we get a 2. So we do not keep the Demon Hunter's Handbook. But she resets her hand back up to 6 cards, and it looks like a pretty powerful spell hand here. And let's see. This location would close because of that. So they're all closed right now, but now we have to put Maugla into one of them. We will roll a d10 to find out where Maugla is going to go. And we get a 3. So Maugla is going to go right where we just were, at the sacristy. And on closing, that was add one of your buried cards to your hand, so she would have actually gotten something back, so we wouldn't have drawn this out. Okay, so now it would be Imrijka's turn. It's immune to electricity and poison. Before you act, succeed in Constitution or Fortitude 10 check or bury a card. The damage dealt by Maugla is increased by the number of buried cards you have. This scenario has been all about burying cards. So it's going to be a combat 17 and then a combat 19. Well, we need everybody here, so she's going to move over. Doesn't mean that this is the right turn to encounter her, though. Enora is definitely set. Enora is fine for battle. She would not be able to make that Constitution check, so she'd bury a card. Could anyone make it? Not without a blessing. Party health is not super at the moment. Imrijka's definitely not set up to fight this right now. She's only got this one weapon, so she's going to draw, but now she is in danger of dying. I don't think that we're going to see a heal show up. So that would pass play to Seelah, who's not terrible for fighting, and she only has to do one of the checks. But again, we don't really have any blessings on the table. We only have that Blessing of Baphomet, and these are pretty big checks. Now, he does have demons, so this will work, the Cold Iron Mace. It would be nice if we could do something with the Dawn Flower, and the only way to do that would be for us to have something with a Divine trait on it. Alright, she's just going to pass play to Anora. On Anora's turn, she is going to give the Sacred Prism to Seelah, because that has the Divine trait. And she is going to choose to encounter a Maugla. Before you succeed a Constitution Fortitude 10 check or bury a card, she cannot, so she's going to bury Create Pit. She is going to let Seelah have that first fight, the 17. And Seelah is going to use the Cold Iron Mace. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Strength and Melee skill plus 1d8 plus 1. You may additionally recharge this card to add another d4 if the Bane has the Demon trait, or add another d4. So we're looking at 2d8 and 2d4 plus 5 right now. And then we're going to use Dawnflower's Light, reveal this card, and discard a card that has the Divine trait to add 1d8 in the Magic trait to your check against a Bane that has the Demon, Devil, Fiend, or Undead trait. So we're going to discard the Sacred Prism. So now we have 3d8, 2d4, plus 5. 3d8 and 2d4 plus 5. Which is 16, plus 5 is 21, so we do defeat him at the 17 check. Now the play goes to Enora, and she has to do a combat 19. She is going to use Fiery Glare, Electricity and Poison, so yeah, she could use either one, but she'll use Fiery Glare. Fiery Glare and the Blessing of Baphomet. This is her first exploration, so this gives her 2 dice. So it would be 3d12 and 2d4 plus 4, and she's going to use a Mythic Charge to turn one of those d12s into a d20. So now a d20 and 2d12 and 2d4 plus 4. 2d12. D20 didn't help us too much, did it? 2d4 plus 4. So that's 21 total, which is enough to defeat 19. So Maugla is dead, nowhere to run. And that is another success for Anora, Imrijka, and Seelah in the Fifth Crusade. And we gain a medal on the troop Knights of Canabras. And we also get the loot Barding of Pleated Light, which I think is for a horse. The Barding of Pleated Light. Heavy Armor, Magic. When you are dealt damage, recharge this card and reveal a card that has the Animal trait to reduce that damage to 0. Recharge this card and reveal a card that has the Mount trait to add 1d8 to a check against a Bane that has the Undead trait. If you're proficient with heavy armors, you may recharge this card when you reset your hand. It's interesting. Let's see, I think Imrijka picked up a horse, or was it Seelah? No, Imrijka picked up a horse. This has the Mount trait and the Animal trait, so it could be used with this. We'll have to see. I mean, it's probably worthwhile. Otherwise, it's just loot that we're going to lose. Let's see, it's type armor. Yeah, so actually, it would work pretty well for Seelah, because she has like 3 armor cards. So not too bad. And then for the Knights of Canabras, well, which one do we want to add? I think we would like to add the Righteous Medal of Clarity. That would allow Enora so you get that benefit. We will do that. And the next time is the Siege of Dresden. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notified of when I post videos in the future. I'm sorry if this video went up a bit late. I had a hectic week with moving and a lot of long hours at work. So I just didn't have time. And actually, I had planned to record one day and then forgot to bring my iPad to the office, so I wasn't able to record. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you next time.